You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today, I'm actually recording this from sunny San Diego. I have been here for a couple days now. The nice thing is that this is the first day, so I get to leave at least with a little bit of sun. Coming from Boston, being in California in January, I would assume that I would get nice weather here, but San Diego actually had their largest amount of rainfall and coolest weather in, I think it was 100 years or something like that. So it was 45 degrees here. At least the real feel was. So I'm heading back to Boston. At least I won't have missed too much. But I want to get started. I want to get into today's questions. Really looking forward to these. Hopefully you tuned in yesterday because we went through some amazing questions then as well. I'm going to go through them right now. But definitely check out that episode. Of course, to find previous episodes, all you have to do is go to stephencabral.com/podcast. And you can check them all out there. Each one has a link to the show notes page. You can see all the notes that I also recommend for that show as well. So let's get into the first question. The first question is from Deborah. She's asking, I'm interested in your weight loss testing kit. I'm currently on hormone replacement therapy, HRT. How long would I need to stop HRT before I take the test to find out what my true values are? Thanks in advance, Deborah. Okay, so to answer Deborah's question, it's very straightforward that literally you could be off estrogen and progesterone. That's, I'm assuming, what you're taking right now. And really just within a day or two, your current levels should be where they're at because you're no longer putting that hormone into your body. And the half-life for a lot of these hormones is honestly just a couple hours to maybe 10 to 12 hours. That's why a lot of women who are using progesterone, they'll typically do it, maybe 7 in the morning and 7 at night or something like that. They can do it multiple times per day. But the other issue is that with estrogen isn't always cleared from the body as well. So meaning the estrogen metabolites can still be there. And if your detoxification system, meaning your liver, isn't functioning that well, you can actually have higher amounts of estrogen metabolites in the body. That's why when some women start using HRT in the beginning, they feel pretty good. But then after 4 weeks or 8 weeks, they don't feel as well. And that's because it's starting to build up in the body because the body's not able to eliminate it as well, especially if you're constipated. So really you have to make sure that you're not constipated as well. So I want to give you one more thing to think about besides it just being, out of your system in a couple days at the most, is that you might want to run the weight loss lab that we have while on the HRT. Because if you plan on continuing to use that, my recommendation is always test where you're at now. Test your normal, right? If your normal is being on these hormones, find out if you're at a good spot or not. Meaning if you're taking estrogen and you come up as a 5, that's way too high. You want to be somewhere around a 1.2 to 2. And if you're taking progesterone, what's your number there? And how is that in balance with estrogen? And then if you're taking testosterone, you can look at it, is it below 45? So again, you're going to get to look at all these numbers. So I would only say come off HRT only if you plan on not using them, right? If you're not planning on using those identical, or if you're using bioidentical hormones, those. But if you are planning on continuing to use them and you want to find out you just currently as you are, then test with that. You're going to get your best results that way. And so if anyone doesn't know the test I'm talking about, you can just go to stephencabral.com/store and it's just the weight loss lab we have. It's literally the best weight loss lab you can test for to find out the underlying root causes of why you might not be able to lose weight or keep the weight off. It will test vitamin D, insulin. It will test thyroid, but it won't test just TSH. It will test T3, T4. It's going to test reverse T3 as well. It's going to look at estrogen, progesterone, DHEA. It's going to look at cortisol 4 times throughout the day. It's an amazing lab. Really, really amazing. All right. Up next is Nadim. Nadim, I'm sure you asked this question. I'm sure you get asked this question all the time, but is it possible to heal disc herniations? There's a lot of contraindications. He's talking about how they consume plenty of water, they take vitamins, they take probiotics, and have you ever seen anybody heal with my type of condition? Okay, so yes, I have, and there are herniations in L4, L5, and I see it happen all the time. So the problem is that disc does not want to be protruding like it is right now and impinging on some of the nerves right now that run down the spine. So what we need to do is we need to get it back into its home, get it back into its place. So one of the best ways to do that is to alleviate the pressure, the downward pressure on the spine. So you want to make sure when you are sleeping, try to put a pillow between your knees. That takes a lot of pressure off your lower back there as well. When you're doing your exercise, you want to make sure you don't put any weights for right now on top of your shoulders or above your shoulders. That will compress the spine, and until you're feeling well, we need to make sure that your spine is not compressed. The other thing I'd like you to do too is, as long as there's no pain, is when you're lying flat on the ground, is you want to start to just press up with your chest. It's called the Cobra position. So check that out. You can just go to Google Images and type in Cobra exercise, and you'll see someone with their hands on their chest, and they're pressing up slowly to try to open up the vertebrae to allow the disc to go back naturally. Now, the next part of this is you're going to want to make sure that you are drinking plenty of water, that you are on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan. That will help tremendously. A lot of people see benefit with using glucosamine chondroitin with MSM. MSM is one of those important ones. It helps with sulfur-based detoxification. Vitamin C and glutamine are excellent as well for tissue repair and regeneration. And just make sure you're taking an overall good multivitamin like the daily activated multivitamin or the all-in-one powder. Highly recommend those, called daily nutritional support. The omega-3 that you're taking, just make sure it's a good one, that it's a functional medicine brand, and that it's mercury-free. It should be higher in EPA right now than DHA. And the reason it should be higher in EPA is that EPA is more anti-inflammatory. DHA is kind of better for the nervous system and brain. They're both great. And no matter what, you're going to get an omega-3 with both of those things in there. Just go higher EPA. If you go on the website, just go to stephencabral.com/store. You'll see the brands that I recommend. They're not my personal brand, but I do highly recommend those because they're higher in EPA. And I've lab tested them, and I've seen people actually dramatically improve their anti-inflammatory levels just using the omega-3 lab. So hopefully that helps. And again, just make sure that you're not doing a lot of overhead weighted based things so that the compression doesn't continue. And as much as you can, actually try to make sure that you're not overarching your back, or also that you're not seated for too long, because being seated also compresses the spine. But I absolutely do believe and have seen that you can heal those disc herniations without a doubt and without surgery. Okay, Haley is up next. Haley, Dr. Cabral, my question is in regards to vitamin C. I've heard sodium ascorbate is a better form of vitamin C to take than ascorbic acid. Is this true? Sodium ascorbate is quite a bit more expensive, so I'm hoping it isn't. Thank you. Okay, so Haley, sorry to disappoint, but sodium ascorbate is better absorbed, and it's also more alkaline, so it's buffered. It's not as hard in your stomach. However, we use ascorbic acid all the time. Why do we use ascorbic acid all the time? Linus Pauling, two-time Nobel Prize winner, and many other people have shown that ascorbic acid is amazing for things like tissue repair, detoxification, urinary tract infections, killing viruses, all these great things. But there's a lot of people, especially those with indigestion, heartburn, GERD, anything like that, where you probably do want a buffered form. You can get it buffered in terms of calcium and magnesium and potassium, because those are alkaline minerals as well, or you can get it buffered with sodium. So we carry in our Boston wellness practice a one with sodium ascorbate, and it's great. So who is sodium ascorbate best for? Those with a sensitive stomach, and those who also, I like to use it for those that are a little lower in blood pressure, because that sodium will help potentially increase blood pressure to a more normal level, which will give them more energy, a little bit more zest, a little bit more vitality. So again, a little better absorbed. No, definitely better absorbed. It is much more expensive though, right? So it's like 4 times to 5 times as expensive. And when I have someone using like 6 or 7 or 8 supplements in the very beginning of their protocol, you know, if there's someone who really needs to get well, all these specific things, I don't want to suffer anymore, all these things, I have to look at that as well. And do I want to add another $30, $40 supplement for them? So I'm trying to be cognizant of that. And sometimes I just go for the vitamin C ascorbic acid when I know that it's only going to be used for a short period of time anyways, to kind of boost their levels, get them out of where they're at. So for everyday use, if you're using sodium ascorbate, you don't have in particular to kind of heal, well, you could just use a small amount. You could use 1, 2, or 3 grams of sodium ascorbate, and you're all set. And that will last you, quite a bit. So hopefully that answers that question. And Bryn is asking, she Can't say enough about the information you put out each day has helped me. Even if the topic isn't something I'm specifically dealing with, I am fascinated and interested in learning as much as I can. I really do believe you are providing a service that can help so many people. I recommend you to whomever I can. Thank you so much, Brent. I really appreciate those words. They honestly mean so much to me, and that is why what I do. So she's asking, but I think it is going to take a lot of work to break down the misinformation that has plagued us for years. Yes. Please keep up the amazing contribution to our society. Thank you. I appreciate that. My question is for a friend's husband who is suffering from Lyme disease. He has apparently tried everything available to him, but here in Canada, Lyme disease is not really regarded as a true health issue, unlike in the US where it's under my understanding that it is. What is your recommendation for someone suffering from Lyme? Thank you. Okay, Bren, I want to be honest, there is no way I'm going to be able to answer Lyme disease and how to overcome it in 5 minutes, because that's basically the most that I have right now. So what I want to share with you is this. I've done multiple presentations on Lyme disease before. I've spoken to the Massachusetts Lyme Disease Society. I've again, gone on and helped so many people with Lyme disease because I live in New England, right? And Lyme disease is super prevalent in New England. I think it originated in Connecticut, Lyme, Connecticut, I believe. And then it's massive in Maine and New Hampshire and Massachusetts. And again, that's where I'm from. So what I would say to you is this, is that Lyme disease needs a full-on systemic-based plan. So let's just say you're using andrographis or you're using, some herbal-based remedy. Great. But what happens is this. You need something to kill the bacteria. You need something to then fix the nervous system, fix the mitochondria, work on detoxification. It's a full plan. And the reason it has to be a full plan is because even though the bacteria is bad, right? You can kill it with natural antibiotics, which is what I do, or you can kill it with antibiotics, pharmaceutical drugs, right? But then after that, what you're left with is not Lyme disease. I want to get this out to the public, and please do share this with as many people as you can, is that Lyme disease oftentimes is completely eradicated, meaning like you don't have the spirochetes, you don't have the actual bacteria, right? So since you don't have the bacteria, technically you don't have Lyme disease. But what you do have is the aftermath of Lyme disease. And that's what I see people with. And that's what I have to help them with. Their nervous system has been affected. Organs can be affected. Brain can be affected. Their immune system can be imbalanced now between a Th1, Th2, and Th17 based immune imbalance. So we have to work on those. We have to also look at underlying root causes like potential candida overgrowth and other issues because of people taking the antibiotics, right? So there's things that are also caused down the line. And that's why what I suffered from a viral-based infection when I was younger, which turned into so many different things, like the virus was gone, right? But I had to then deal with the repercussion for years of what happened to me because of that. So what I'm saying is this. First, you do have to make sure that you actually kill the Lyme-based bacteria. Then after that, you need that full frontal approach, infrared sauna. You need to do detoxification. You need to make sure the bowels are moving. You need to make sure you're rebuilding and repairing the mitochondria. You need to make sure that the nervous system hasn't been attacked, that you're rebalancing the immune system. But I'm telling you, 12 to 16 weeks, completely good as new. I really believe that because that's what I see in my practice. So why wouldn't I share that with you? So it's about 12 to 16 weeks. Just a good, full overall plan, a good overall protocol is going to help get you there. Keep doing your research online. I will do a full presentation on Lyme disease in the future. No doubt about that. I will put that in my notes right now. I'm actually going to write it right now down so that I can make sure that I do help you with that because I obviously know that this is something so many people suffer from. And the problem is that they're no longer suffering from Lyme disease. What they're suffering from is the aftermath of Lyme disease. And that takes a full protocol of making sure that the gut's balanced, that the nervous system's balanced, and that you are also working on that detoxification. Really, really important. So hopefully that helps. And thank you everyone for the great questions today. I think that was record time. We went through, I actually want to make sure that I got through all 4 of those questions. And I did. So again, thank you everyone for writing in. We'll be answering again another somewhere between 6 and 8 questions next week. And of course, make sure you tune back in tomorrow for our Motivation and Mindset Monday, the absolute best way to start your week. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at Equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.